Welcome back to Spotlight, where we feature the University of Central Arkansas's College of Fine Arts and Communication. I'm Donna Lampkin-Stevens. Thanks for joining us. My guest today is Amanda Horton, the new director of UCA Public Appearances. She has hit the ground running since her arrival at Reynolds, and we're going to learn all about her and her new job. So be sure to join us when we return for Spotlight.
At the University of Central Arkansas, I live in the only residential college in the country focused on entrepreneurship and innovation. I've had the opportunity to develop mobile apps for local businesses. And I've been able to do everything from intramural sports to campus radio.
It is my college. So.
UCA put me and my education front and center. Learn how at uca.edu.
Amanda Horton, the new director of UCA Public Appearances, joins me now. And Amanda, it's your first visit to Spotlight, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Now, give us your background. I know you're a UCA graduate, but your life started before you came to UCA the first time. So tell us where you grew up.
Absolutely. Well, I'm an Arkansas native. I grew up in Stuttgart. My dad is actually from Texas, East Texas. My mother and father met at East Texas State University. And so I can always claim that I'm half Texan if I need to, if I'm in the right audience. But I was born and raised in Stuttgart. And so.
And you came here, can I ask what year?
Sure, absolutely. Graduated high school in '92, and I came to UCA in the fall of '92.
And why did you want to come to UCA to start with as a student? It
was a little bit of an unexpected venture. I had originally looked at UCA, University of Arkansas, and Ole Miss, and I had a group of course, I was a small town girl from Stuttgart, Arkansas, and wanted to go where some of my friends were going to go so that I would have some people there that I was already associated with, and so.
But not too many.
Yeah, not too many. Absolutely.
I know.
But I did want to, back then we traveled in groups. I did want to travel with some of my friends. And so I had originally planned on going to Ole Miss, and then there was a move to Australia, and that kind of changed.
In the group?
In my course, yes. My friend that was going with me called me one night and said, guess what? My mom's moving to Australia.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going with her. And so that was kind of a, oh my goodness, do I want to continue
So
on
at what point was that
with
in your
this
senior
Ole
year?
Miss? It was actually right after I graduated.
Oh my gosh.
That summer, the beginning of the summer. So I changed my course and had loved UCA. When I came here and visited, I already had some friends that were here, freshman and sophomore, and I'd come up for some football games and been to some events on campus and loved UCA and had a group coming to UCA. So I just decided to follow suit with them, and I am so glad that I did.
You know, isn't it funny how just one little thing changes our whole lives? I mean, likely you wouldn't even be back here today had that not happened.
That's exactly right. So.
Now you came and you studied speech communication, or your degree's in speech communication. But is that what you intended originally when you got here?
Yes, that was. I wanted to be in public relations, and so I felt like that was probably
that was before we had the PR.
That's
program.
right.
Okay,
that was the best route for me. I had some friends who were in the PR. Or speech communications track, and that was what they were studying to do, was to become working in the public relations field in one way or another, marketing and public relations. My grandfather was in the House of Representatives for many years.
What was his name?
Wayne Hampton.
Okay.
So I'd always been around politics. You know, even as a small child, I remember going out and campaigning for him, and I don't want to say I grew up in the Capitol, but had been at the Capitol several times with him. And so my minor was political science, and I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a politician, but I thought maybe I might want to run political campaigns.
Sure.
And so I thought this public relations, speech communications major, poli-sci minor would get me where I wanted to. And I'm still very interested in politics, but I'm so glad I didn't take that whole political campaign route. Okay. No, I didn't. I immediately started working in the marketing field when I graduated from college. Did some direct sales types position. Worked for my first job out of college. I say I was the Vanna White for copy machines. I sold copy machines. You know, you do what you can when you get out of college. Who will hire you is basically how that works. And so I worked for a great company called Business World. And then while I was working at Business World, I went to school at night to get my master's degree.
And where did you do that?
UALR.
Okay. In
Masters of Arts in Interpersonal and Organizational Communications. And I always say you have to have a communications degree just to say that master's degree.
Oh yeah.
So, but wanted to further my education. My mother was an educator. She was an elementary school and middle school principal, And I knew I didn't want to take the educational route, but she'd always pressed upon me how important education was, and get it while you're young, get it before you have children and a family. And so immediately when I graduated from UCA, I graduated in December, and I applied for the master's program and was...
Wow, you really worked quick then.
Well, I went in the fall. I had a little bit of a break, about a 6-month break, and then started working on that in the fall, worked all day selling copy machines. And back then you sold facsimiles. Now you go to Walmart and buy a fax machine.
Right,
but, you know, back in the mid-90s.
This was mid-90s, okay.
95, graduated in 95. I graduated in 3.5 years. My mother also believed that once you get to college, you stay at college. So
no summer break.
No, she required me to keep going during the summers. And, you know, looking back, I'm really glad that she did that. So she pushed me to stay because I was able to knock out some of those difficult classes like zoology in the summertime and get it in a shorter track. But anyway, graduated, went to work for the business world, working on my master's degree at night. Then I went to work in direct sales for a place called Entertainment Publications. And then I decided that I might want to move back to Stuttgart. Wanted to be near my mom.
Now, in the meantime, you were living in Little Rock? Or?
I was. Okay. I was living in Little Rock. And so a wonderful position became open, and it was actually on the opposite side of the direct sales. It was in public relations. I was the marketing and PR director for the hospital in Stuttgart, which at the time it was Stuttgart Regional Medical Center. It was an independent hospital. The last 2 years I was there almost 12 years. Wow. The last 2 years that I was there, they were acquired by Baptist Health, which was a wonderful experience for our hospital. And for me professionally as well, I learned a lot from the Baptist Health core values and beliefs. So that was an interesting time in our lives. But yes, I was at the hospital for 12 years and really enjoyed that's where my public relations and my marketing side kicked in, and enjoyed being on the opposite side. I wasn't doing any direct sales. I was on the opposite side of that.
So were you a natural salesperson? I mean, I don't think I am. Is that something that you can become, or are you...
I do think you can become. My grandfather in Texas owned a used car lot for years. So, and even when he retired, he would carry around produce in the back of his truck and go around to neighborhoods and sell it. It was always ingrained in him. And even when he sold his car lot, he had to keep selling something. That was just part of what he did. So I think you can be born with that. However, I did have to study my products. And, you know, I think it's important that you know and understand what you're selling before you go out and sell it. And, you know, that's the same with what I'm doing at Reynolds Performance Hall. You know, one of the things that we ask our staff to do is really thoroughly understand the shows that we're bringing in, so that if someone calls and asks, what's this Circopolis about, we can explain and highlight the different aspects of the show.
So back to your time as a student at Speech Com, I can't imagine that your dream job was selling copiers.
Absolutely not. No, it wasn't. That was just something to pay the bills while I was getting that master's degree.
At that point, what was your dream job when you were at UCA?
You know, I wanted to start my own public relations firm. And at that time I thought I might work with politicians. You know, I thought I was a wonderful speechwriter because during my time at UCA, I had to write so many speeches. I was a part of the forensics team. We traveled all over the southern part of the United States competing. That was really a fun time in my life. And it really prepared me for what I did, because selling is basically giving a speech.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have to be able to introduce your product. It's very persuasive. You have to be a persuasive speaker. So that was that really kind of helped me with my endeavors, because I practiced a lot. When you're on the forensics team and you're getting ready to go compete, you're constantly practicing.
So after the copiers, you said you were in entertainment. Tell me that.
Entertainment Publications.
Is that was that the germ of what would become this position here?
No, not really. Entertainment Publications, I don't know if you've ever seen the coupon books that people sell for fundraising. Well, there's also a larger Little Rock version book, and I was over the state of Arkansas, the sales reps for
So that's not exactly, I mean, I guess it is entertainment, but not what we're
you're
thinking
selling,
at Reynolds.
But no, not working at Reynolds. Now, back to that question about spending time at UCA. When I was a student at UCA, there was no, like you said, there was no public relations department. There was no PR track. There was just the speech communications, and we were in the theater department. And so
was Mass Comm with it then?
Yes,
so
it was.
Speech, theater, mass comm.
Speech, theater, and mass comm.
I came here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I took a few journalism classes, but I took several theater classes, and that really blossomed my love of the theater. Because I had never been exposed to live theatrical arts.
Probably not in Stuttgart.
No, the junior play in high school.
Right.
But that's not really,
right.
You know, I'd gone to concerts, but I'd not really been exposed to the true artistic side.
Right.
And I'll never forget.
Did you act in UCA theater productions?
No, I didn't. I did not. Now, we did, in our forensics team, we did some interpretive reading, where you would, you know, act out to what you were reading. I was a great Eudora Welty. I loved the Southern writers, the older Southern writers, but I was not part of the true theater. However, I helped build some sets with Dr. Blakey, and I did take several theater classes.
Okay.
And that really, you know, it exposed me to so much that I had not been used to, and it created my love for what I ended up doing the next 15 years, which was attending Broadway shows, you know, going and seeing things at the Rep, you know, wherever I could take myself and my children. You know, I thought it was very important. You know, I wasn't exposed to it till I was 18. I thought it was important for them to grow up with the theater, and you know, one of them has grown up pretty much in the theater.
Oh, really?
Because of my role at the Grand Prairie Center.
Okay, so back up, you're in Stuttgart and you're at the hospital.
I'm at the hospital.
Corporate public relations.
Corporate public relations, absolutely. You know, lots of patient satisfaction initiatives, making sure that people understand what our products are, those types of
Did you intend to be there forever?
Services are. You know, at one point I really loved what I did. I've been very fortunate in life that almost every job, my career path, I have absolutely loved it. I truly have. And so I thought at one point that yes, that this would be where I was for the rest of my life. But then this whole Grand Prairie Center thing happened to me.
Tell us about that.
Well, I had been an adjunct instructor at PCCUA, which is Phillips Community College at the University of Arkansas. It's one of the U of A community colleges in Stuttgart. I had been an adjunct instructor for them for 12 years. When I took the position
at what did you teach?
Speech communications.
Okay.
When I took the position, it was an intro speech class that all freshmen have to take. And when I took the position at the hospital, they learned at the college they needed an adjunct night teacher to teach communications, and they heard that I had a master's degree in it. So they called me, and of course I immediately thought this will be a fun way to make some extra money and get involved with the college. And I didn't think I wanted to teach full time, but I did want to be involved in the academic world. So I taught for them for 12 years, and I got a phone call one day from their development director, Tiffany Rogers, and she said, Amanda, we are working on, and I knew they were working on this proposal, we're working on a proposal to raise $16 million to build a performing arts center and convention center on our college campus. And we really think that you might be great at leading this. And so I thought, really?
Leading the development?
No,
aspect.
She was leading the development aspect.
Okay,
No. You know, they wanted to hire someone before it was ever built.
I see. Okay.
They wanted someone to be there for every step of the construction process, and then of course to write all the policies and procedures, start the first series. And I said, well, Tiffany, you know, why would you want me to do that? And she said, I said, it sounds intriguing, and I think I would absolutely love it. But she said, well, we really want someone who has a heavy marketing database, marketing experience, that also knows our community really well, because you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to sell this 67,000 square foot, it's a huge conference center to people all over the state of Arkansas. So we want somebody that knows a lot about our city, and we want someone that has a lot of marketing experience.
Well, you were perfect then.
So, and she said, and I happen to know, because we were friends as well out in the community, you know, in Stuttgart there's 10,000 people, so you know everyone. But she said, you know, she also knew my love of Broadway and of musicals and of the entertaining arts.
And so when was this? When did you make that move?
I made that move in 2010, early, before it was ever built.
And it was built when?
We opened in, I'm trying to think, April 2011?
Okay.
Is that right? Or no, it was April 2010. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you had, what, 2 years there?
Almost 3.
Tell us what you learned through those experiences.
A whole lot.
Because you had not done anything I mean, you're sort of combining your loves for everything. But,
Right.
But you had
That's
not
right.
actually done
My
this.
passion for performing arts, but I'd always been passionate on the patron side of it, as the visitor
It's a little
side
different.
of it. It absolutely is different. One thing, that I had to learn was how to run everything. First of all, we had to hire qualified staff, so we hired a technical director right off the bat. But Keith Carson,
who used to be at Reynolds.
He was here at Reynolds.
Okay.
He was an assistant here, assistant tech director. So we hired him, and he helped us with the technical aspects of the theater because there is so much, and I'm still learning that. After 3 years, and I would think, and technology changes so often.
Yeah.
That I'm sure that I will learn something every year. But we had to learn what type of series could we put together that people would come to. And we were also a college, so we didn't want to just bring in popular fun type groups. We needed to also add some educational components to it because we needed to be adding something to the students' lives where they were learning. So we had to get that mix in together, and we had a wonderfully successful first year. But putting a box office together, selecting a ticketing agent, doing your schedule for your hall, putting that together and trying to decide when you can and can't get people. We didn't, we were a community college. We didn't have a large base of students to come in and work. So we had to find, okay, we needed to do Fiddler on the Roof, we needed 25 people to load that show in. And there was 4 of us on staff, and I didn't want to ask my assistant to help load in a show. We did those things though. I mean, I can honestly say by experiencing working for a big house and on a small budget, you learn how to do everything. I could sell tickets, I could help load in a show, I could get on stage and introduce the show, and I could go and sell the next show. And you just have to do it all. So
good training.
It was great training, absolutely. And we were successful our first year. There were, and I knew that there would be some things that would sell better than others, such as we had country music artists that came in and that sold really well in some of our popular Broadway shows. But what was inspiring to me, excited me, was that the Arkansas Symphony Orchestra sold just as many tickets as Earl Thomas Conley, who's a country music singer. And so it showed me that Stuttgart was ready, or Stuttgart and the surrounding area was ready for these performing arts. And we brought a Christmas show in with Arkansas Symphony Orchestra. Of course, everybody loves Christmas music, but still, they were willing to accept that and come to it and purchase the tickets. And so it was just an exciting time for Stuttgart. It still is. They've got a wonderful season. They're still very successful, and there was nothing like that in the community. There were no opportunities unless you got in your car and you drove an hour to Little Rock. There were no opportunities for that. And
that's great.
So we were glad to do that.
So did you know Jerry Biebesheimer?
I did.
How did you get to know him?
Well, we had a mutual friend that worked with Jerry. This mutual friend of ours works for Riceland Foods. Riceland Foods is headquartered in Stuttgart, but they also have a very large operation in Jonesboro.
Okay.
And so Jerry, as you know, was over the Arkansas State University's Fowler Center before he came here. And so our friend had got to know Jerry through the Fowler Center, and he introduced me to Jerry. And I called Jerry right after I started, and I said, Jerry, I'm brand new at this industry. Is there any way that you would walk me through how to negotiate contracts, how to understand writers? I have a ton of questions about the box office. Would you spend some time with me? And Jerry was so gracious. He said, absolutely, you come on up here. So I drove to UCA.
So he was your mentor?
Yeah, spent a whole day with him.
Wow.
And then after that day, I learned so much that day. And then after that, I kept him on an email. I was constantly emailing him and trying to he assisted me so much. He's very, very helpful, and it's nice to have someone who's been in the industry to ask these questions.
Absolutely.
So in fact, I have a new friend. His name's Max, and he's running the EACC house, East Arkansas Community College, and he's brand new in the business, and I just got finished emailing him. So you give back,
it's sort
people
of a small
help you.
Fraternity too.
That's right. Then you give back to them.
So at what point did you know that Jerry was going to retire and that you might be interested in this position?
I saw Jerry and Ashley last year in September at Midwest Arts Conference that we attend every year. And Jerry said at that point, "This is it for me. I'm booking this show and I'm done." And I said, "No, you're not." I really thought he was teasing me because Jerry loved what he did. And he said, "No, really, I'm going to retire." And so I kind of blew that off, and I was really, really wanting to move to the Conway area for various reasons, but one in particular. So I kind of blew it off, but I kept it in the back of my head that maybe, you know, this might happen. And sure enough, in January, he emailed me and he emailed all of the professionals, all the directors he knew in the state of Arkansas, and said, "I'm retiring. If you know anyone that would be interested in my position."
Okay.
And he emailed us the position out. And so I immediately, of course, threw my hat in the ring and sent in my resume and prayed for the best.
And you had been there long enough to sort of get your feet on the ground, and then, but I would think that you bring different strengths than Jerry. I mean, Jerry obviously had lots and lots of strengths, but you sort of bring a different side. What do you bring?
Jerry was an entertainer. He's an awesome vocalist. And so he had been more on the entertainment side of that. He knew what it was like to be one of the artists on stage, and I don't know that side to that. I've never done that. As entertaining as I can get is just introducing the show and telling people to turn their cell phones off. But what I bring to the table that's a little different from Jerry is I do have that intense marketing background. You know, not only did I learn about public relations and marketing, have a master's degree in it, in communications, but I also was in that field for, you know, 15 years. And so I believe so much in community cultivation. I just think if you want to actually sell either your product or your house or your healthcare services, whatever it is, you've got to go out there and be in front of the community and become a friend to them, and make those direct contacts. You know, it's one thing to place an ad, and I believe in ads. I do. I believe there's a place for all different sides of marketing. But if you don't go out there and talk about what you've placed in that ad and really promote it one-on-one, then people can choose to ignore that. They can ignore an ad, but they can't ignore you in their face talking to them about it. So that's one of the things that I immediately did that was a little different. You know, I didn't change a lot about what Jerry was doing, but I did add some things. And so one of the things we added was Ashley and I. Ashley's the marketing director. She and I immediately hit the road. We ordered a display, we ordered some promotional materials, we packed up all of our brochures, and we went to Searcy and attended their business expo, and Russellville and attended their business expo, and we just stood out in crowds and talked about the Reynolds Performance Hall and all the fabulous things we had coming. So, you know, that's a little bit different what I brought to the table, my strengths that I brought to the table that I think will help is community cultivation, more marketing, trying to add to our patron database,
while keeping the old ones satisfied.
Yes, keeping the operations going. Reynolds Performance Hall is a very busy place.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And you know, our series is fabulous, but it is just one aspect of what we do at Reynolds Performance Hall. You know, we have student concerts at Reynolds. All the different educational groups on this campus use Reynolds for one thing or another, whether it's you know, a graduation pinning ceremony or whether it's a concert. The opera utilizes it. The theater is going to utilize it this year. So we have all of these student activities going on at Reynolds as well. And then we also are available to rent. So a lot of times we'll have corporate groups come in and have meetings. We have Arkansas Shakespeare Theater there every year. We are the home of the Conway Symphony Orchestra. We're their house where they play. So, you know, you have all these different aspects of what we do, and it's just trying to juggle it all.
Now, you started June 1st?
I did.
Right? Okay. And so the summer, you were busy out and about, but I guess compared to after school started and the season started, it was, looking back now, it looked like it was sort of a lull period, I would think.
It was. We immediately when I came in, I pulled all the contracts just so that I could become more familiar with what we had coming and what was required of us.
Jerry booked the show.
Jerry booked everything, the whole season. Well, but our first show of the season, Sark Rocks, canceled on us.
Okay.
Right. In fact, that was the week I started.
Oh my.
Yeah, I started with a bang, with the cancellation of a show, and we had already, before I even got here, Jerry and Ashley had revealed our season to our patrons. So we had to go back, and of course, first thing I did was try to save it and try to
What happened? I mean, is this rare for them to cancel after it's already booked?
It is, but it does happen. It's rare, but it can happen. They ended up getting a casino, and sometimes if you can get, like a casino will book a group for 2 weeks. And so if you can get as an artist, if you can get a booking for 2 weeks, you don't have to get up and move, you get paid a little bit more, it's easier. So that's what happened with that show. And they didn't only cancel us, you know, they were routed all through Texas. So they canceled the whole routing series. Fortunately, though, we were able to get an even better group, which was Sarcopoulos.
It seemed like it was just seamless.
Yeah,
I mean, people.
Some people might have seemed that way.
Well, that's a compliment, though, because I think people. I think people knew there was a Cirque show coming, and they wouldn't know one from the other.
Well, that's what we wanted to do, is we wanted to try to find another Cirque show. So Cirque Oise, who'd been here before with Rain, had Sarcopoulos touring, and her agent was so funny. She said, "Can you find out all the houses that they canceled and see if we can do a routing?" And so,
yeah, sure.
You know, we networked, and I said, "I sure can, or I can try." So I started calling around the different Texas ones that I felt like were there to try to get a package together where we could entice them to come to us. Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they ended up going through Texas and stopping in Conway. And
well, Amanda, we could talk for hours, I can tell, and we will have you back again. But before we go, what's your favorite part so far about being here?
You know, I love being back on this campus. It's absolutely beautiful, and this town has grown so much.
It's a different place.
It really is.
From what you left.
It's amazing, the changes that have been made. You don't have to leave Conway. You can be entertained here at the Reynolds Performance Hall. There are wonderful restaurants here, and there's great shopping. So on my to-do list of eating, shopping, and being entertained, you can get all of that done right here in Conway. So I love being back in this city, but I also love working with my staff. They're fabulous.
You do have a great staff.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Ashley, Lee, Frank. Who am I leaving out?
Sam and who'd you say? Ashley, Lee, Frank, Sam, and Ryan, our box office manager. Okay. So we have wonderful staff, and it has been a absolutely successful season so far. Yeah. 3 sellouts first day. It was history.
Amazing. Well, we'll talk more soon. Okay.
Sounds
Promise
great.
to come back.
Absolutely.
Okay. Spotlight will return in a moment.
At the University of Central Arkansas, I've encountered world-changing academics and game-changing athletics, helping me become a regular on the Southland Conference Honor Roll. I was able to graduate early with a business degree, and now I'm seeking a second degree in physical education, all while playing Division I volleyball, softball, and soccer. UCA put me and my education front and center. Learn how at uca.edu.
For more information about the programs and people featured on the show, call the College of Fine Arts and Communication at 501-450-3293 or check us out on the web at www.uca.edu/CFAC, and be sure to like us on Facebook. Join us again next time for Spotlight.